By the time I notice the front porch light flickering, dusk has come and gone. I work the fields with a kind of focus only the heaviest of death metal can bring. As I climb out of the cab, I feel completely spent, but my mind's still reeling. Noodle doesn't ask me how many acres I did, but I can tell she's dying to know by the way she's gripping her sticker bag. I dig my hand in and count out 6 gold stars for her. She hums a little tune as she places them in the squares. Standing back so she can admire her work, she slips her hand into mine. More than halfway there. That's Noodle for you, glass half full. Clay. Mom calls from the kitchen. Supper's ready. Finally. Jess clomps down the stairs. Noodle skips off to help with the plates. Were you out by Merritt's today? I ask, trying to keep my voice down. Jess lets out a heavy sigh. What's it to you? I saw that Wiggins kid out there. So, I want you to stay away from him. Stay away from those woods. She rolls her eyes at me. I'm serious, Jess. I'm starving. She barges past. It's stupid we have to wait for you to eat. King of the castle. Just like Dad. I grab her arm, yanking her back. I'm nothing like Dad. She looks down at my hand in shock and jerks away. Leave me alone, psycho. I'm sorry, I didn't mean, but she's already gone. We sit in our usual spots, while Mom waits on us hand and foot. I'm always telling her she doesn't have to do it, but I think it's a way to keep the attention off her, keep busy. Dad's chair sits empty at the head of the table, like a ghost. We never talk about it, but that's the Tate way, there's honor in the pain. Tragedy is a way of life, right? Why should we be immune? Right after the funeral, during one of her spells, Mom told me she thought it was God's punishment for having so much, being blessed with healthy children, a fruitful farm. But I don't believe that. Not even God can be that big of an asshole. Noodle starts Grace. A little whistle escapes through the gap in her teeth every time she makes the sound. I never say Grace anymore. Feels wrong. And God bless pot pie night. Amen. Thursday night. Pot pie night. Basically all the leftovers from the week thrown in a dish with gravy and a pie crust tucked over the top. It sounds gross, but it's pretty good. Jess takes the best piece, the one on the far side where the oven's the hottest and the crust gets real crunchy. Mom always gets stuck with the soggy middle piece. She claims she likes it best, but we know she won't touch it anyway. She'll just move it around the plate over and over again in the same pattern, a sweeping arc with a couple of stabs for good measure. Each of us had our own way of dealing with what happened, but sometimes I think Mom took on the worst of it, the shame. How are you coming on the wheat? Mom asks as she finally sits down and picks up her fork. I look away. I can't stand watching her going through the motions anymore. Noodle sits up all proud. Right on schedule, 44 acres left. I feel her tapping the leg of the chair, no doubt, 44 times. I need new clothes, Jess says, more as a demand than a request. I'm saving for Noodle's tuition at All Saints, but I don't want anyone to know about that yet. Not until she gets in. Well, I'm sure as hell not giving you hard-earned crop money to buy clothes, you're just going to cut holes in anyway. Jess opens her mouth as wide as she can to show me her half-chewed food. Noodle giggles at her. I don't need new clothes. Duh. Jess looks her up and down. It's not like any boy is ever going to be interested in you anyway, unless it's Count Dracula. Noodle kicks her hard under the table. Mom and I ignore it. If Noodle kicks you, you probably deserve it. Tomorrow's homecoming, Mom says with a gasp as she looks up at the wall where the calendar used to hang, like she can still see the date circled. You should have an extra piece tonight. You'll need your strength. We all freeze in place, looking at each other anxiously. It's usually best to play along. She'll remember eventually, and when she does, she'll take to her bed. To be honest, I'm not sure which is worse. Do you need a corsage, for Ollie? She asks as she moves her food around. I flinch at the memory. Last year, after the game, I was going to take Ollie to the dance, finally tell her how I felt. Instead, I spent it in the weed alone, mourning my dad, thinking I'd just killed that halfback, and cursing the day I'd ever been born. I glance into the living room. Even though the lights are off, I swear I can still see the faint outline where the metal crucifix used to hang. I force myself to swallow another bite and glance at the clock on the wall. 9:06 p.m. I don't know how much more of this I can take. Your dad sure is working late these days, but don't worry, we'll be there in time for kickoff. He wouldn't miss that. Why can't anyone say it? Jess drops her silverware on the table with a loud clang. You know what tonight is, right? It's the 1-year anniversary. Can we at least take Dad's chair away now? It's not like he's ever coming back. He's dead, Mom. He went crazy and now we're paying the price. Noodle's smile melts away. Mom looks down at her plate. I'm partly relieved for the interruption, but I can't believe she said that. I glare at her. What? Jess wads up her napkin. As look down at the flesh, colored vegetables and meat oozing with gravy, I feel sick to my stomach. I poke at my plate with my fork a few times and then ask if I can be excused. Of course, honey, Mom says with a weary smile. You'll need your rest for the big game tomorrow. She starts to get up to clear my plate, but I carry it to the sink on my own. I can't look at her right now. It hurts too much. I don't want you waiting on me for supper anymore. I walk away before getting a response. I make it to the foot of the stairs when Noodle comes crashing into me from behind with a hug. You're good, Clay. Don't forget that. I pull her around and hold her tight. I have no idea what she's talking about, but somehow it's exactly what I need. My room is stifling. Who am I kidding? This house is stifling. Peeling back the garbage bag, I open up my window and take in a deep breath of fresh air. My eyes automatically zero in on the Neely ranch. No lights, nothing but dead space. All I can think about is Ollie leaning into my truck, her fingertips almost grazing the top of my thighs, my zipper. I feel stupid for thinking it was real. No way she'd even look at me, let alone ask me to meet her at the breeding barn. Maybe Miss Granger's right. Maybe it's the sleeping pills. I grab one of the bottles from my bedside table and read the side effects. Warning: this medication may cause drowsiness. Sure as hell hope so. In some cases this may cause delusions. Check. Tremors. Check. Hallucinations. Check. And severe mood disorders. Awesome. Thanks for nothing, Dr. Perry. I gather up all the pill bottles and empty them into the toilet, hushing them before I have a chance to change my mind. Stripping down to my boxers, I climb into bed. The sheets feel clammier than my skin. I left my music on the combine, but I'm not about to go back out there and get it. So what if I have to lie here all night? I's not like it's going to kill me. I can still read. I pull out the family Bibles and farm ledgers stashed under my bed. At first, I was looking for clues, but now it's just habit. The last few weeks of his life, Dad couldn't stop poring over these books. And when he didn't have his nose buried in one of them, he was down at the Preservation Society looking through the archives. I feel like the answer's here, staring me right in the face, but I just can't see it. The only thing remotely interesting is the family tree. That night, Dad kept talking about the 6th generation. The seed. It must have something to do with the family tree. I trace my finger across the names. Thomas Tate came here and settled this farm in 1889. So I guess he's the first. It passed on to his son Benjamin Tate in 1919. And then to his son Lyle Tate in 1950. Then Heath Tate in 1979. My dad, Neil Tate, in 2000. Which leaves me. I'm the 6th. I just wish I knew what it meant. There's a line drawn next to my name, stretching out to the margins, with L.A.W. 1126, written in my dad's chicken scrawl. I've gone over every corresponding Bible passage, every possible acronym I can think of, and I still can't make heads or tails of it. There were lots of entries for L.A.W. in the checkbook the last month of my dad's life. $100 here, $50 there. When I asked Mom about it, she got so agitated, I had to stop. Written around the perimeter of the page, in a circular pattern, is a passage from Exodus 32, the golden calf. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and I will give your descendants all this land I promised them, and it will be their inheritance forever. As hard as I try to piece it all together, I can't help thinking maybe it's just the ramblings of a crazy person. Nothing more. Maybe I should be thankful I don't understand it, because understanding it would mean I'm crazy, too. Rubbing the goose bumps from my arms, I set the books aside and turn off my light. It's a little chilly, but the breeze feels good. The way the wind rustles against the garbage bag almost sounds like wind chimes. For the longest time after Dad's death, I thought I could still hear the cattle bellowing and mewing. I know that's nuts. People think cows are these dumb docile animals, but you should have seen what they did to him. Teeth, hooves, 1,000 pounds of pressure crushing his bones. But that's nothing compared to what he did to them.